certainly what it should be, but the only two guys in the top two spots, the only guys to be on every ballot, they both had historic seasons.
Hello and welcome to the Hoop Collective podcast. We talk about the NBA, which we're doing on Tuesday afternoon. Joining us from New York City, Tim Bontemps.
Hello, everybody.
Big one tonight in the Garden that I don't know if you're going to, 76ers Knicks.
I will be at Sixers Knicks. Huge back-to-back victories for the Nets, for the top Sixers. The Sixers look like they're certainly going to be in fifth. And speaking of Philly native Dan Giroux, new coach at Iona College up in Westchester, was up there at the intro presser today. Longtime friend of mine. Shout out to my buddy Big Dan. He
has been on the New Orleans Pelicans staff this season and previously was on the Cleveland Cavaliers staff for a long time. I don't know how many years, 9 years. That's good. That's a long run.
Including the championship year he was there.
Joining us from Dallas, Texas, the author of The Wonder Boy, Luka Doncic and the Curse of Greatness, which you can pick up at all fine retailers, even some average retailers. It's Timothy Band MacMahon.
Howdy, partners. It is a pleasure to be here. We're here to talk about North Texas in that NIT Final Four. Hey, did St. Bonnie's make it?
How about Not this year.
Huh?
Yeah.
Not this year. Every time North Texas gets the NIT Final Four, they lose their coach.
That's okay. Go Mean Green. It's a good problem to have.
I thought we might have some action there, MacMahon, because Kent State beat St. Bonaventure in the first round. Oh. I did not talk trash because I respect Bontemps. They beat Stanford in the second round. I did not talk trash to Shelburne because Ramona, I respect her. They did have to then go up against Loyola Chicago. And I did attempt to talk some trash to Shams, Charania, that's his alma mater. But Shams was unaware that they were even in the NIT, which made it a little difficult.
Yeah, Shams was also like Doogie Howser when he was like 12 when he was in college.
So anyway, but I was prepared to just run the gauntlet against all of my colleagues. I was prepared to knock Shams out and then put my sights on North Texas, but the Flashes didn't make it. All right. This is a big day. One of our favorite days of the year.
Big day.
Final Bontemps straw poll. What do you call it, MacMahon?
The BS poll.
Where he has surveyed the MVP voters. The ballot notifications just went out on Monday. MacMahon?
Oh, I'm still banned.
Damn.
Can't get one of those official ballots from
Gotta get our guy a ballot.
Office.
I thought that was.
I hear they're having a tough time finding the qualified folks, but hey, I guess they've lost my number. Must have been. You know what? There's some tall fellas at that league office, but I bet there's some wee little fellas that are mad about my minimum height requirement for male referees rule. That must be why I don't have a ballot.
Could be.
Anyway, the Bontemps poll, especially the third one, 3.0, is been historically extremely accurate, not only in predicting the winner, but predicting the spread of votes, because the methodology, I will let you say, Bontemps, real quickly. Sometimes you talk a little too fast when you go through this, but Bontemps, the key thing is that he talks to people in all the markets. He doesn't just talk to people in New York or LA, including international and all the platforms, digital, television, radio, etc. So, Mr. Bontemps, without further ado, you will, I'm not saying you're predicting what will happen, but you will give us a readout on where the voters are with what? The ballots are due in 12 days, I think.
Couple weeks, yeah.
Yeah, the ballots are due, I believe, in 13 days from when we're recording this podcast. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, so like you said, we try to mimic the what the actual voting pool will look like at the end of the year, at least as close as possible. It's not exactly the same 100 voters, but it's supposed to give us a representative sample of what it'll be. And, going into this, I think you guys would not be surprised to know that there's two guys who are separated from the field, the same two guys that have been separated from the field all season, Nikola Jokic and Gilgeous-Alexander.
Josh Giddey didn't catch him?
Did not. Oh. Been a great month for the Bulls. Kobe White just got named Eastern Conference Player of the Month. Josh Giddey hit the crazy half-court shot last week. been a long streak of no Bulls to get a vote in the straw poll. That streak has continued for another poll.
Why are you giving away the goods right off the top?
I know.
The Bulls fans were hanging on.
I'm actually not sure if a Bull has ever gotten a straw poll vote in all the years I've been doing it since 2017. I actually might have to check that at some point today. But those two guys have been atop the ballot all year. If you'll remember back when we did the second one back in February, mid-February, about 6 weeks ago, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 70 first place votes. Nikola Jokic had 30. And they had all but one second place vote between them, which was the widest separation we'd ever seen in the straw poll. So before I give these two guys, where do you guys think this landed with the two of them before I give the results?
I'm going to say it's probably even a little bit more leaning toward SGA, simply because Joker did miss a stretch of games and SGA has continued putting up insane numbers, and the Thunder are cruising to the best record in the league and perhaps one of the best records in NBA history.
Jokic has been so amazingly good.
Mm-hmm.
You can create a case that this has been his best season.
He would. He has.
Yeah. And because I think he knows it's going to be hard for him to win it, he's leaned into it, even a smidge.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just say though that today is April 1st as we're recording this.
No fooling.
The Thunder have not yet had their 13th loss, which means 70 wins is still in play. We've only had 2 70-win teams in history. I'm not sure how many times 70 wins has still been in play with less than 2 weeks in the season. There's been a couple of teams that have won
Not
69.
many.
The Lakers in 71, 72 won 69. I assume that I shouldn't assume, I should look it up, but it's probably less than 5 times is my guess.
Well, by the way, this is their schedule, just to run it through before we get to the results. They got 7 games left, as you said. They're 6-3-12. Tonight, Wednesday night, they're on ESPN. They're playing the Pistons. Pistons obviously missing a couple of guys. Play games at home. Thunder should win the game. Probably their toughest game left is Friday in Houston. Tough game.
I would say if they win against Detroit and then they win in Houston on Friday, I declare a 4-alarm fire on the 70 win.
Okay, but they've got another.
Here's the rest of the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
They then have 2 home games in a row against the Lakers on Sunday and Tuesday. Home games. Yeah. So certainly can win. Won't be easy games. They then have a back-to-back on Wednesday in Phoenix. Probably no Kevin Durant playing. Suns obviously are a tire fire at the moment. Then their final 2 games are on the road in Utah and in New Orleans.
2 teams that don't appear too interested in winning basketball games late in the season.
So this is like, it's really in play. Like, they got a real shot at it, and I really hope that they try to do it. Don't take their foot off the gas at all.
Let's just be real blunt. They can rest guys in the last 2 games of the season and still do it.
Yes.
You do both, if they get through this thing,
yes.
Before that
unscathed. They win the next 5. They should win the last 2.
2 things I'm going to say. One, the Thunder have occasionally this year rested players and still won.
Well, that's when if they did that all the time, Jalen Williams, Arkansas, Jay Will would be an MVP candidate because all he does is put triple doubles in those.
That's
situations.
Right.
Okay, so that's one thing. The second thing is this: those 3 games at the end. It is a 3-game road trip, but my God, by that time Phoenix could be done. They probably won't be because Dallas and the Kings keep losing, but it's possible those teams could have 0 to play for. Now, I know I have listened and paid attention to what the Thunder players have said about this chasing 70. They say they don't care about it. They say that it's you're not remembered with how many wins you have in the regular season, and all that is true.
Yeah, the Boy Scout Thunder said boring things. Breaking news.
I know, but their actions indicate they like winning.
Yeah.
They're only 26-3 in their last 29 games.
I'm sorry, dude. Competitive NBA players, when they have a chance to make history, that's a nice little carrot.
And they're going to get a whole week off after. Look, we don't need to get it. Spend more time on that. I just really hope they go for it because I think it'd be awesome if they're able to somehow pull this off and win their final 17 in a row. So,
by the way, I think they are. Before I let you go,
Yeah.
I think they are incentivized to push the Lakers back. I would think they would rather have Memphis move up if Memphis even holds on. But I think they will be highly incentivized to push the Lakers back to 5 or 6.
Yeah, I don't think they're that worried about that part, but we'll see.
All right.
So after all, well, I mean, they shouldn't be worried about anything. I mean, they should just be out there playing their games. They got the best net rating of all time, and they might win 70 games. Like, they should feel like they could beat everybody. That being said, MacMahon almost nailed it on the head. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 77 out of 100 first place votes, 23 second place votes, obviously on every ballot. Nikola Jokic, 23 first place votes, 77 second place votes, 100 votes on every ballot. Certainly what it should be, but the only two guys in the top 2 spots, the only guys to be on every ballot, they both had historic seasons. I would tend to agree with you, MacMahon. I would say the combination of Jokic missing these late games and the Thunder potentially winning 70 games, I think is probably ultimately going to tip this thing in the other direction. However, I will say we have a couple weeks left in the season, and if Jokic has a couple more 40-20-20 type games, I do think it's enough of a binary choice that there is some world where it potentially shifts the other way. But I certainly think as we sit here right now, going into April 2nd, 10 days to go in the regular, 12 days to go in the regular season, it certainly looks like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be the next MVP, and Joker's going to become, which I think is actually a pretty cool stat, even if he doesn't become the third guy to win 4 out of 5. Here's a whiz of the quiz for you.
And now, to present today's trivia question, the whiz of the quiz, Tim Bontemps.
He'll be the first guy to be in the top 2 in MVP balloting, assuming the actual results go this way, 5 consecutive years.
First guy ever?
No, first guy since blank.
Oh, LeBron.
Not LeBron.
Harden.
LeBron was 3rd in 2011. Harden was 3rd in one of the years. Wasn't him
Jordan.
either. Wasn't Jordan either.
Wilt?
Might be Wilt, but somebody more recent than him.
Kareem.
More recent than him.
Well, how do you handle Jordan?
Frame.
Because Jordan missed years. I mean, do you?
Oh,
I mean, he didn't finish in the top 2 in 5 consecutive years. Doesn't matter if he was hurt. He just didn't do it. Part of it's being awesome and available all the time.
Wasn't Kobe, was it?
Wasn't Kobe.
No.
Older. Think about guys who've won a lot of MVPs. This isn't a trick question.
Kareem.
Not Kareem.
We did Kareem. We did Jordan. I won a lot of MVPs.
Only a handful of guys who won a lot of MVPs. Not Moses Malone. This guy finished 2nd to Moses Malone, though. At least one of the years.
So how's that more
Magic?
Recent Jordan.
No, I said more recent than Kareem. It's the same time frame as Magic. We're getting closer.
Right.
Yeah, Larry Bird.
There you
Larry
go.
Bird.
Okay.
Larry Bird finished 2nd from 81 to 83 and 1st from 84 to 86.
I think you said more recent than Jordan. I blame you for our.
I did. I said
chase.
Kareem, but you were not listening.
Our wild bird chase, I should say.
So, yeah, that's a heck of an accomplishment, regardless of whether he finished as 1st or 2nd. But
and look, man, nobody in Denver wants to hear this. Michael Malone definitely doesn't want to hear this. But the fact that Joker has 3 and Shai doesn't have any, it's really close. You throw that as also one of the tiebreakers, along with the record, the games played, and
also, what about Shai's defense? I'm not saying Jokic is a negative, but
well,
Chris
Herring and I actually have a story coming out soon about Joker actually being a defensive analytics darling. And
is he as much of a darling as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander?
Analytically, like defensive box plus minus and stuff, more so. But
yeah, but when you watch him, well, I'm not going to. I don't want to. I have this rule. I'm not going to say anything bad. I'm not going to say anything bad.
Exactly.
Let me just say this about the Thunder, though. By the way, because I've started having my discussions with coaches and executives about the all defensive teams and defensive player of the year. I got to tell you something. I am considering voting Lou Dort for defensive player of the year.
Well, gee whiz, what a outlier statement that was.
Well, he's never made an all defensive team,
which is ridiculous, and it's embarrassing, and that is a result of.
You're saying it's ridiculous, buddy. I don't think he'll. I don't think. Well, I don't know. I'm just going to say this. This was a great day today for Kobe White, who was named Eastern Conference Player of the Month, which is a great accomplishment.
He's been smoking hot.
Kobe White played in Oklahoma City on Monday night, and Dort was on him.
Oh.
And he went 2 of 5. 5. He took 5 shots.
Our former colleague, Royce Young, whose official title now is Thunder Chief of Propaganda. He put out there was a graphic last night on the broadcast, and it's a list of some of the best scorers in the league and their season averages against Oklahoma City. Luka Doncic, 16 points per game. Now it's one game, but still. Cade Cunningham, 11. Again, one game, but still. Devin Booker, 15 and a half. That's almost 10 less than a season average. LeBron, 12. That's less than half his season average. Donovan Mitchell, 9.5. That's way less than half of his season average. So Lou Dort is definitely like the guy you, as a star, you least want to see as your opponent.
I'm considering putting 5 Thunder players on the all defensive team. I can't put Chet on there because he's not going to qualify.
Mm-hmm.
I'm considering it. Now,
Okay.
I also have.
I would say that's going to be slightly aggressive, but
they're the number 1 defense in the league.
They're great.
But
They're great.
if you're going to have Shai on an all defensive ballot, then you have to have 5 Thunder players.
Yeah, Shai,
and he'll tell you that.
Jalen Williams, Lou Dort.
And I was going
to say a Hartenstein, I assume.
Hartenstein or Caruso.
Well, Hartenstein, I don't know if Hartenstein will qualify.
I don't think Hartenstein. Maybe I got to look at
it. Caruso wouldn't.
Caruso's not going to
qualify either.
All right. Anyway, I don't want to turn this into a defensive player of the year discussion. I've also got people telling me I should vote for Evan Mobley too, and I've also got people who are telling me I should vote for Jaren Jackson. So I've got to. It's not that I'm just telling you. I'm seriously considering voting for Dort. Last year, I almost voted.
He's going to be one of them. He's going to be first team all defense guard, I think. I mean, yeah, I know there's not guards anymore, but I do 2 guards and 3 front court guys. I'm going to do Dyson and Dort as of now. I got to look at it more, but
the fact Dort hasn't been means that people don't know what they're doing when they're doing all defense voting.
For sure.
And because he doesn't have the stocks numbers, he doesn't have the steals and the blocks. Now he is a master at getting offensive foul calls on screens. I believe he leads the league in that category, and he's as good, if not the best, lockdown perimeter defender in the league.
You know, it's nothing against Rudy. I would never say anything against Rudy. Okay. I regretted not voting Victor Defensive Player of the Year last year. So I'm thinking I'm going to take the regret that I had last year. I'm thinking about channeling it into this year. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to wait until I talk to more people.
I don't really understand what has to do with the other on that, but okay.
Well, I've regretted not voting with.
Well, I just mean, what are you going to channel it into? What are we?
Oh, channel it into voting for Dort. That's what I'm thinking of doing.
Okay, sure.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't want to get into that. That'll be for later.
We already got into it. It's all good.
People are going to be in their feelings about this MVP vote, as always, but particularly because Jokic is so strong.
I mean, are they going to be though? I feel like
yes, they are because Jokic.
I feel like this has been the first sane discussion of the award in a long time.
The Serbians are angry. I don't know what you call Denver people. Those mile high. I mean, they ain't got enough of that good stuff up there apparently because they ain't chill. They're fired up too.
Well,
yeah,
we're not going to like a national discussion the past several years. It feels like this year it's been fairly docile, at least so.
Oh, Michael Malone's he's feisty. He's always feisty.
I mean, sure.
He doesn't know who you are, Bontemps, so he might not be aware of this poll, but he'll be feisty.
Not at all. Not at all.
All right. So we usually go backwards, but because this show is on TV, which everybody knows I love.
Hey,
gotta move it around a little bit.
Yeah. So now we're going to go upwards and onwards.
So in the same fashion, since we start at the top, we'll go to the next couple spots, and it was similar breakdown. There was massive separation with first and second, massive separation with third and fourth. Giannis Tatum finished third, 53 third place votes, 37 fourth place votes, 5 fifth place votes, 95 ballots. Finished 18 points ahead of Jason Tatum, who was on third place on 41 ballots, fourth place on 51 ballots, fifth place on 5, 97 total votes. 363 points behind Giannis's 381.
I got to say, I know it's a small thing, but it's annoying to me that it's nothing against Tatum. It's annoying to me that Tatum is on more ballots than Giannis. Like, how could you not have Giannis on your ballot?
I mean, honestly, I think it's hard not to have either one of those guys on any. Like, they're
I
3
agree.
and 4 on mine. I don't see how you can put them top 5.
Look,
but whatever.
I for different reasons, I think the fact that the Bucks have tailed off some, obviously some of that has nothing to do with Giannis. They've had a bunch of injuries. Dame's now out. They're, I think, 6th in the East right now. I think a couple people might have docked them for that. But, I mean, look, those 4 guys have been very clearly head and shoulders above everybody else the whole time. So I was not surprised that went that way.
Can I read you Giannis's stats?
Yes, they are crazy.
Giannis is shooting 60% from the field. He shot slightly better last year, but I respect the way he's going about it this year. Far and away shooting the most 2-pointers of his career. Thank God, hallelujah, that he's stopped messing around and going to the basket. 30.2 points per game, 12 rebounds a game, 6 assists a game, 1.2 blocks per game. Awesome.
Not bad.
Well, and the funny thing is, it's funny you lay that out, right? Because those stats are out of control, right? Last year, I think he was the first player ever to score over 30 points a game and shoot over 60% from the field. And I think he's on pace to do it again this year, right? Like, his numbers are out of control. He's also been metronomically consistent as the 3rd guy in the poll.
Metronomically, MacMahon.
Like 5 years in a row. So Giannis is, since I started doing this poll in 2017, Giannis is the only player that's been on all 19 straw polls, getting at least a single vote. And he's been in the top 5 in the last 13 in a row. And
wow.
He was 2nd once, he was 4th once, and he was 3rd the other 11 times. So whether it was Jokic and LeBron, whether it was Jokic and Embiid, whether it was, I think at one point, Harden and somebody, whoever it's been throughout that whole stretch, Giannis has basically always been in the top 3 and always been 3rd, despite having crazy numbers all the time.
Here's his official finishes in the MVP, okay? 2017, so 16, 17, I'm just going to say the year. 2017, 7th. 2018, 6th. 2019, 1st.
Ooh, that's when the Harden Giannis beast started really taking off. Go on.
Yeah.
2020, 1st. Also Defensive Player of the Year, 1st. 2021, 4th. 22, 3rd. 23, 3rd. 24, 4th. Trending towards the 3rd.
Yeah, 3rd or 4th. Maybe he finishes behind Tatum. I mean, they're basically tied. But yeah, he's very consistently been the other guy, despite having incredible numbers every year. And Tatum has very consistently been, like, the last 3 years, he's been somewhere between 4th and 6th. He's all but certainly going to be 4th. And, feels like that's probably the range he's always going to be in. And he'll probably be in it for a long time.
Yeah, right at the top of the 2nd tier.
That's bait. This will be Giannis's 7th consecutive All-NBA first team as well, because he's going to make All-NBA first team.
Yeah, there was some doubt about him being eligible for any of these awards because of injuries, as we talked about.
Well, he's not there yet. He does need 4 more games, in fairness.
But he's been in basically the same place for 6 weeks. He had that calf injury we did it the last time, and it wasn't clear if he was going to be able to stay over the 65 game limit. Now, knock on wood, as long as he doesn't have any setbacks over the next couple days, he should clear that pretty easily and get himself eligible to be on all these ballots again. And then in 5th place, also comfortably by himself, certain denizen of Cavs Corner, Donovan Mitchell, 3 third-place votes, 9 fourth-place votes, 51 fifth-place votes, 63 total, 93 points. No other player was on more than 13 ballots.
Well, this is exactly how my ballot went, in that order.
Me too.
So I would say everybody was right.
I had Jalen Brunson 5th on the last straw poll. Obviously, Jalen's hurt. I don't know if he's going to get to 65 games. Donovan has not statistically played that well since the All-Star break. He has struggled with his shot, especially. He's also been bothered by a little bit of a groin injury. But I'm giving him credit for his leadership that he's shown. Also, he is going to play. The Cavs play on Wednesday. I don't think he's on the injury report, so that'll be his 69th game that he plays on Wednesday. That'll be the most games he's played since 2018-19. He has been routinely available, and a big part of their run, which is headed towards. They're obviously eliminated from 70, but they could still get to, I believe, to 67, which would set the all-time franchise record. I don't know if they'll get there. I don't know how hard they're going to go. They do have to get 4 more wins. Their magic number is 4 to clinch the number 1 seed. And if you look at the Celtics schedule, I think they have the second easiest schedule in the league coming in. The Cavs might have to win 4 more games to clinch that number 1 seed.
I don't care what the Celtics schedule is. The Cavs might have to win 4 more. You can't assume the Celtics lost to anybody right now.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. So I don't know how you guys felt about Donovan here, but I felt it's a little bit unclear where you could go here. But I feel like he should be rewarded for the leadership he's had on that team this year.
That's the decision that I made. Look, a team that very likely ends up with the best record in the Eastern Conference. He's the best player on that team. His stats being down a little bit, we've discussed this before. I think that actually adds to his case because his
minutes are down too.
Right. He was willing to let go a little bit. He was willing to empower Darius Garland, who's having arguably his best season, to empower Evan Mobley, who's having without a question his best season. So I do think Donovan gets, I think he gets a big boost for the overall success of the Cavaliers and for his role as a leader in making that happen.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of guys who had cases for 5th, which we'll get into in a bit. But like you said, between the record, his leadership standpoint, the fact that they've been way above expectations, the fact he's played great throughout the year, he, I think, for a variety of reasons, this is going to sound negative, but became the default option. Like, well, if it's sort of a tie, the tie should go to the guy who's led the team that's wire to wire, been the best team in the East, and has been one of the most impressive teams in the league all season.
And by the way, Darius Garland. So it's the fewest minutes Mitchell's average in his career, which probably has something to do with why he's going to play the most games in 6 years. Darius Garland has already played the most games he's ever played in his career, playing the fewest minutes of his career. Jared Allen has not missed a game yet, and I think Evan Mobley is trending towards having the second most games of his career. Obviously, they've been healthy, but they've also done a good job of taking care of their players, giving them strategic rest, lowering the workload on time to time. So let's hear the rest on the ballot here before we move on, Bontemps.
So in 6th place, interesting name, 1 3rd place vote, 2 4th place votes, 10 5th place votes, 13 total votes. Only other player to get into double-digit votes. You guys have any guesses on who that might be?
Cade Cunningham. I considered him from 5th on my ballot.
LeBron James.
So Cade is 7th. We'll get to Cade in a second. Easily his best showing yet in the straw poll. LeBron James, once again, 6th in the poll. First time LeBron has been this high in the poll since the end of the 2021 season when he finished 5th. And he's basically gotten 1 or 2 votes the other times he has been in it. And has been sort of like a guy at the very bottom of it. So the first time he's had any meaningful support since then. Obviously a nod to the way he both has played and the way the Lakers have played over the last couple of months.
It's interesting you say that. He's in a pretty significant offensive slump right now. Well, at least a 3-point shooting slump. I think he's shooting, since he came back from the groin injury, I think he's shooting, like, as of right this moment, he's shooting 19%, like his last 9 games on threes. He's definitely playing harder on defense.
Yeah, I mean, they had all these injuries. They had all these injuries, and they played great. And LeBron was active on defense and sort of was leading the charge as they were not without Anthony Davis, working in Luka Doncic, everything else that's gone on. Like, I'm not surprised he's gotten credit.
Well, why isn't Luka?
He's not eligible. He's not close to eligible.
Games. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
And then LeBron rounding down is averaging 24, 8 and 8, shooting 51 from the floor, 37 and change from 3-point range. And I think some of his friends in the media probably gave him a belated 40th birthday gift and put him in the straw poll. some of his good friends in the media.
Yeah. Well, I did not consider him at 5th, so I'm a little bit surprised.
I guess you don't fit in that category then.
The guy who's next up, as you said, Brian, Cade Cunningham, 1 third-place vote, 7 fifth-place votes, 8 total. Cade's obviously having a great year. Pistons having a great year. Had an eventful night the other night after we did the pod. Bit of a fracas down in Detroit, and found out suspension lengths for everybody today.
That was the melee in Minneapolis melee.
Or sorry, yes, playing Minnesota in Minnesota. But Cade having a great year and sort of was the only other guy to get over 5 votes in the poll. And
will be a no-brainer All-NBA selection. Sounds like very likely a second team All-NBA.
Which means
more money, baby.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't done my All-NBA yet, but I'm going to tell you, I have this rule. I have this rule where if a guy is close, I put him on.
Cade's getting paid.
Yeah, so
max money because he's an All-NBA no-brainer.
With their season the way he's played, he 100% deserves.
Well, and I will say this: I haven't done it yet either, but I have never considered this when it comes to Defensive Player of the Year. If Evan Mobley wins Defensive Player of the Year, he gets the bonus, or if he makes an All-NBA team, he gets the bonus. Now, I haven't worked out where Evan would be on the All-NBA team, but if I am sticking to my personal rule that if it's close, I give it to the guy because I'm not going to be the guy that keeps him from getting paid. I think I might have to apply that to Defensive Player of the Year too. If I'm having difficulty, maybe I have to give it to Mobley.
Oh.
I'm thinking out loud here.
There's multiple guys that'll apply to, so you might be able to throw it out. So because Jaren Jackson Jr. is in the same boat. And his was even more money if you're trying to do it that way. So
his
this is why
for the super
yes,
max.
this is why I don't worry about it, and I just vote for whoever I think I should. I'm not saying your approach is wrong. I
don't worry about it either. But when I'm, the two things that I consider when I'm trying to decide on an award, one, I consider that, and two, the lift, what the player is asked to do on a nightly basis, what he has got to do for his team. Like for example, Jokic's lift is enormous. Right. You could argue that Jokic's lift is bigger than Shai's, although Shai's a better defensive player in my opinion. Although I guess I got to read this story from Chris Herring and MacMahon. This is an odd couple if I've ever heard one doing a story together. I frankly cannot believe the two of you even need to have each other's numbers, but okay.
We didn't until we started working on this story.
I didn't. I'm surprised. I'm going to wait for this
my guy Chris
story.
Herring though. Listen, New York Times bestseller has a blurb on the back cover of The Wonder Boy. Luka Doncic and the Curse of Greatness available.
Who wrote that book?
Oh, I think this guy did.
Anyway, I'll be interested to see the story, which is going to maybe make the case for Jokic as Defensive Player of the Year. Go ahead, Bontemps.
So in 8th, a little bit of a surprise to me. 1 4th place vote, 4 5th place votes, 5 total. Anthony Edwards did not really have Ant on the ballot for me.
The Wolves are coming on strong. By the way, tonight, we're not going to know what happens in tonight's game. It's Tuesday night. The Wolves are in Denver. The Wolves are coming on strong. They have the easiest schedule remaining in the Western Conference. If they pass Memphis, okay, and they get the 6th seed, they could play Denver in the first round.
Ooh, we know Denver doesn't want that.
They're 0-3 against them this year. Now that we've said this, I'll probably beat them by 30 tonight because they're at home in Denver.
Yeah.
They're 0-3 against them this year, and obviously they lost them in the playoffs last year.
Yeah. But Ant has had an All-NBA type of season, second or third team. He's not an MVP candidate.
I was surprised he got that many votes. So tied with him for 8th, 1 3rd place vote, 2 5th place votes, 3 total, 7 points. Jalen Brunson, I think very clearly his case was
slide too far down. That's too far. But
again, he sprained his ankle and has been out for the last month. So
if he plays 65, it might end up being like on the nose.
Yeah. So I mean, he'll make All-NBA. He probably would have been right there with Donovan Mitchell 65. For 5th. Well, yes, I'm assuming he's going to come back in the next week and play a couple games and get to the number. He's close to getting it. 4 total. Behind them in 10th, 6th, 5th place votes, Karl Anthony Towns, his teammate. Carl's had a great year. I remain to be a little surprised that people would vote for a Nick and not vote for Jalen Brunson. I think he's very clearly the most valuable player. Carl's had a great year, though. Certainly he's going to be another guy in All-NBA consideration. In 11th, with 4 5th place votes, another denizen of Cavs corner, Evan Mobley,
Denizen.
getting a little more love. He got one fifth place vote. First time he'd ever gotten in the poll last time. Gets a couple more for the way he's closed the season. As you said, he's going to be a guy certainly in consideration for the back end of the All-NBA and Defensive Player of the Year ballots. We'll see where that lands. In 12th with 3 fifth place votes, Stephen Curry, who has obviously been part of this Warriors resurgence. He's missed a little time with injury, or I think he may have potentially been a little higher. And then in 13th and 14th with 2 and 1 fifth place votes, a couple of point guards, Tyrese Halliburton with the Pacers, who has been on a heater lately, as we've talked about. He's been averaging double-digit assists with 1 turnover a game, basically, for the past several weeks, and has been awesome. And James Harden got 1 fifth place vote,
right.
14th place.
I respect it. Harden is looking great. The Clippers have been terrific. Friend of the pod.
I may vote for Ivica Zubac for Defensive Player of the
James
Year.
Harden.
He is the Clippers have a couple guys who could maybe consider for awards, but Harden's been great. Made the All-Star team, could maybe get some All-NBA consideration, but it's had an awesome year for the Clips. And as we've talked about with Kawhi Leonard now back healthy, they're going to be an interesting out in the playoffs.
James Harden has become an underrated player in an unexpected turn in his career. So,
well, he is a great regular season player. We are going to find out in the playoffs this year if he can still raise it up to be a big time player in the playoffs. Like you saw a couple years ago when he was with Philly, he had the 2 amazing games in that series against Boston, and then he had 5 duds.
He had 2 great games against the Mavericks last year. The Clippers won 2 games. It was a 6-game.
Yes. So that's the question in the series. But look, like when he turns it up, he can still turn it up.
There are people who believe 2 years ago, if Embiid does not come back in that series, James Harden might be one of them who believes that. I'm not going to speak for him, but if Embiid does not come back in that series, that they win that series. That was a series they lost in 7. Harden had 40 in game 1 in Boston. They win. Embiid comes back for game 2. Boston wins. And then they're ahead 3-2 and ahead in the fourth quarter.
They were up. I was going to say they were up with 6 minutes to go in game 6. Embiid was out there too. And so, that's one of those great what if moments, but how it goes.
I remember sitting next to you in the center or whatever they were calling it then. And I was like, cause we thought, I was like, this is it. Like they could beat Boston. And I remember, looking at you and saying, the MVP's got to carry him home. Carry him home, big boy.
And he didn't.
This has been one of our most exciting episodes of the season, if you ask me. No, verbal punches thrown yet, but we've still time.
Yeah, you know why? Because Brian didn't do no prep, man. I did all the work on the straw poll. You're doing the Cojones Factor. You get to just sit back here and pontificate.
I love it. Oh my God, I love it.
Hey, he submitted a ballot. It took him at least 22 seconds of prep for that.
I have, by the way, I resolved this year. I used to be one of the last filers of the ballot. I resolved this year to get you my ballot ASAP, and I feel like I followed through on that resolution.
You have. It's been awesome. It's been a great thing. I didn't have to ask you. Both you and MacMahon. I text you guys within 2 minutes. You sent me the ballot. It's great.
Thank you.
What it's supposed to be, off the cuff. What are people thinking in the moment? So it's great.
But it's now our man MacMahon's time to shine.
That's
right. We have a new month, which means an old month is over, which means the Cojones have been on display.
We have a new set of rules for what the Cojones Factor will be.
We do.
So let's wait to see what the criterion will be this month.
Is the first time hearing of this.
Cojones Factor is always, always, always a combination of clutch and swag. 2 things that you fellas are not familiar with. So
I just always enjoy the rationale for the order every month. It's great. So here we go.
Educate you as I do, once a month. All right. We are going to give a shout out to Jordan Poole, who didn't make one of the top 3, but the man did have a 30 some odd foot game winner in Denver. The little splash cousin from years past knocked one down there. It wasn't a buzzer beater, but it was a last few seconds game winner. Now, we're going to go to the New York Knicks. And this wasn't one of their 2 guys who popped up in the straw poll, but this was a man who was concerned about some minutes and said as much on the record, challenging Tibbs. The minutes police in his own locker room for Tibbs. We got a problem here, Mikal Bridges. Now, listen, if you're going to minutes police Tibbs, boy, oh boy, you better come with it. And Bridges did it that very night.
It was amazing.
In Portland. And
in overtime, was it not?
Yeah, played 41 minutes. It was overtime, but he played 41 minutes that night for those who are counting, including Mr. Bridges. Scored 33 points and capped it off with a buzzer beater. And so, listen, it takes cojones just to call out Tibbs about minutes, period. Especially.
Well, he's not a guy who's known for his swag, but you gave him some extra points.
He's got the kind of the signature 3-point celebration, and he's got a little something.
All right, I take it back.
But hit that little pull-up jumper, buzzer beater in Portland when the talk of the day around the Knicks was, oh my gosh, can you believe Bridges called out Tibbs? So yeah, that got the man the brass balls, third place in the March Cojones Factor Player of the Month.
All right,
fellas, I mentioned to you, I didn't know exactly. I had to check with the committee, which is me, and I pondered this for a little while. Could a team be eligible for this award? And I came to the conclusion that it had to be.
I'm gonna remind everybody what I said 2 minutes ago about how every month there's a new set of rules governing who wins this award.
Fellas,
this is great.
The freaking Indiana Pacers, though, come back in the final, however many seconds to beat the Minnesota Timberwolves. They were down, I think, 7 in the final minute, came back to beat what was left over of the Dallas Mavericks. Came back in the final minute to beat the Brooklyn Nets. 2 straight games. That's 4 straight games where the Pacers came from behind to pull off these victories.
They almost got the Lakers if it hadn't been for LeBron's tip-in with who made the driving play?
Luka's floater miss and LeBron got a tip. Oh, I forgot which Pacer put him up. But and then capped the month fittingly by beating the Sacramento Kings by a bucket. So the Indiana Pacers as a team are going to be silver medalists. I wouldn't say Rick Carlisle's a coach with an extraordinary amount of swag, but as a team, I mean, and the signature moment of all this was Tyrese Halliburton's 4-point play to beat the Minnesota Timberwolves.
That was amazing.
And by the way, Obi Toppin, the very next game,
he beat the Wolves, and Tyrese beat the Bucks, right?
Was it the Bucks? Okay, you're right.
Tyrese beat the Bucks, and then Obi beat the Wolves.
That's right. Obi
Who
beat
got the
Wolves,
game ball?
So even exactly. So even before that little stretch, that's right. It was the Bucks that was earlier in the month. So I didn't even mention that. So the 4 straight final minute comebacks, a little bit earlier in the month, Tyrese Halliburton's 4-point play. I just had to give it to the Pacers as
fair enough.
The silver medalist, the first time that an entire team has gotten this kind of honor. All right, and then this is for the gold medalist, a man who has Wendy's full respect, a man who's getting love letters written to him in the Oklahoma this week, despite the fact that he no longer plays for the Thunder. Oh, a man with good hair and one hell of a closing kick against the Los Angeles Lakers. I believe this was an ESPN game with the world watching right after LeBron's tip-in the night before against the Pacers. And again, that final stretch, LeBron's not going to include that on those Mind the Game podcasts with Steve Nash. No. But yeah, no, LeBron's little defensive bust and then an inbounds pass where he was outsmarted by Josh Giddey. Got the steal, woof, got the dish to old Kobe White. And then, well, they're down in the final seconds. The Lakers go back up. Boston Reeves, little drive, little finish. What happens? Kobe White from the left eye, sorry, Josh Giddey. I got to give you full credit. Josh Giddey, hair flowing. The left eye of the Bulls logo, and it's bullseye, baby. And that gooseneck was hanging the whole time the ball's in
You
the air.
loved that. We did an NBA Today the next day. You loved how he left that hanging.
Oh, he lets that thing go. And it
was like Wesley Snipes in White Men Can't Jump.
He lets that thing go. And he left that follow through hanging. It was looking pretty, just like his hair, and just strutting his way toward the hoop. Swish. Josh Giddey, absolutely, positively, for that moment, for that finish, he earned the Cojones Factor Player of the Month, the longest buzzer beater in Chicago Bulls history, and the first guy I can get.
Jordan didn't need buzzer beaters.
Oh, he hit a few, but not
Yeah,
from
he did.
47 feet.
That's
First
true.
guy to get a steal, an assist, and a bucket in the final seconds of a game since
Wow.
all the smoke. Matt Barnes in 2017.
That was a Reggie Miller type display. He had those steals and stuff. I guess no assist though for Reggie. He got those steals and he just took it himself.
Yeah, no, Reggie wasn't one to rack up too many assists. But yeah, old Josh Giddey, man, probably the biggest honor of his career. Certainly something he'll use in contract negotiations this summer with the that hard negotiating Chicago Bulls front office.
He probably got the Royce Young Player of the Week a few times though.
Oh, I tell you what, there's no question about that. And Royce probably hand wrote some certificates for him too, with like little cute pictures and stuff.
We love Royce. All right, beautiful job as usual, MacMahon. We look forward to. Will there be one for April, just for 2 weeks, or you include the playoffs?
April we'll include the first round, and then we'll cap it after that because it's all cojones once you get the second.
It's
round.
all cojones. All
right. You know what
well,
though? I do have a little bit of reporting here. Oh. There is a Royce Young Player of the Month. That's given out to the best Oklahoma City player each month. And instead of a trophy, it's just a milk bottle. They give a milk bottle as the honor here because, you know, that's a milk drinking team if I've ever seen one. And nobody epitomizes that like the chief of propaganda, our good buddy Royce Young.
Oh, my God. MacMahon is such – it's a good thing you're a big guy because you'd get your face punched in if you weren't. All right. MacMahon. How about Monday night in Dallas? The Mavericks losing to the Nets at home in a sad state of affairs that nobody seems to want the 9 or 10 seed in the Western Conference, and gives the top Sixers a 2-game cushion on the 5th seed, which should get some sort of award. I don't know, but the
might as well be 20 games. Might as well be 20 games for the top Sixers.
You're saying they will not win again?
I don't think they're winning twice more. They play the Wizards again. I don't think they're winning 2 more games.
Does anybody want the 9th and 10th seed? Anybody?
As messy as things have been for the Mavs, they've moved up a couple spots in the Western Conference standings recently. They're sitting in the 9 seed. Things are falling apart on the Sacramento Kings and old Phoenix Suns. Motivational Matt, it couldn't quite stick. And unfortunately, that did look like a pretty nasty ankle sprain for Kevin Durant. I think the question now is, has Kevin Durant played his last game in a Suns uniform?
Well, he had a sprain to the same ankle on the warm-up. Remember when he got to the Suns 2 years ago? It was a similar looking play, actually. And he missed 10 games. Now, that wasn't at the end of the season. The thing about it is the Suns' next 5 games are against teams in the playoffs with winning records. I can't see him coming back for any of those. So, but even
just to run through this for people, they're in Milwaukee Tuesday night. So by the time you hear this, you'll know how they did. They're in Boston Friday. They're in New York Sunday. They then fly home to play Golden State on Tuesday, the Thunder on Wednesday, and the second night of a back-to-back. Then they have the Spurs on Friday in that game against the Kings on Sunday the 13th.
I anticipate there will be some flights to Cancun after that game.
From either the Kings or the Suns. One or the other.
I anticipate that the Kings will be making their way there.
All right. Beautiful job, gentlemen. Great work.
Just airy and windy like usual.
Didn't even crack a sweat this one. Thank you to Jackson, our producer. Thank you for watching, listening to Hoop Collective. We'll talk to you later this week.
Adios, amigos.